Hello friends, colorful welcome to all of you once again. So it is the continuation part of the previous video. Okay, I wish whoever just watching this video just check the previous video as there is some issue in my phone. I cannot capture more than 40 minutes in video. So the previous video was stopped somewhere and I just continued from that part here. Okay, so in previous video we have just calculated the electric field due to the infinite thin plane sheet, one infinite plane sheet. Suppose it is an infinite plane sheet, okay, consisting of charge or charge density sigma. Then the electric field around this plane sheet, suppose here the electric field we have already found it, equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught sigma, right? And as we have mentioned that we taking the direction rightwards as positive direction, and on the reverse the backward direction as negative direction, so we can say this electric field is along rightward direction, so it is positive. Okay, or you can name that OA, okay, and just write it, okay, it's along way. Now we'll go for two plane sheet. Then what will happen? Then see, the spaces around this two infinitely thin plane sheet can be divided into three region. Okay, first region is this region, which is say P. This is the region left towards this plate, and the middle region which can be considered as R, and the rightward region as this. Now we have to find out the electric field on these three regions separately, okay, because the electric fields are different in these three regions. Okay, that's why we have to just find out the electric field separately. So we have already found that this for this plane sheet the electric field is suppose like okay, let's take the surface tension charge density for the two plane sheet as sigma, say sigma A and sigma B. Okay, so for that plane sheet the electric field is in the S direction, the electric field is plus 1 by 2 epsilon naught sigma A. For this direction, for this sigma A, again same for sigma B as well, because for sigma B this point, suppose this point is also on the right hand direction, for sigma is also right hand direction, and this electric field is independent of the distance, does not matter this point, suppose this point is how much distance apart from the plane sheet. Okay, it just only depends upon the charge density and the permittivity of the medium. Okay, so what will happen, we can say it is for EA and it is for EB. And now as both are in the same direction, EB, both are in the same direction, positive direction electric field, so the electric field, resultant electric field for those at this point will be just the sum. Okay, so we can take common sigma A plus sigma B, it's easy. Similarly we can say here it is R, so for this plane sheet the electric field on the reverse direction, the electric field for EA will be on that direction, so it will be negative, the value will be same. Okay, look at that, so the value will be same but the electric field will be negative, right? And for EB the electric field will be positive, because for EB the electric field on the middle region it will be on the right side, okay, from this face, and for sigma A on the left side from the opposite face, so we can write sigma B. Okay, as we are taking the positive side, positive direction as our reference, so we can say EB, we will the resultant field will be along this positive direction, the resultant electric field will be Okay, it is the resultant electric for the S region, it is for the R region. It will be the difference between them, and it will be plus 1 by 2 epsilon naught sigma B minus sigma A. Similarly, apply your sense and find out for E, for P region. It will be same. EP will be minus, because in that case it is just the reverse of S. P is just reverse of S. They are similar in each cases in magnitude, but the direction will be reverse. So it will be just negative of that. Now you will ask, why always taking positive charge, positive plane charge? Okay, there is no need to take always the positive plane charge. Okay, as it is positive charge, that's why the surface charge densities are positive. So if the surface charge densities are negative, just put the negative surface charge density instead of plus B, plus sigma B, just write down minus sigma B. Instead of plus sigma A, write down minus sigma A if there is negative charge. Then you will find out the equation. That is easy, okay? And again, if the surface charge density are same, okay, then look at that, the electric field in the middle region will be 0, and the electric field on the either of the region of P and S will be maximum or twice of the one. And if they are of opposite, then here it will be twice, and here in that two region it will be 0. Okay, just check that. Okay, take the different sign of sigma A and sigma B, okay, and check those equations of electric field. Okay, that is your homework, you can say. Okay, apply your sense and just whatever you learn from this video, just apply through it. Okay. Okay, next we'll move to, again, if there is another plane sheet, just apply the same sense. Okay, then another two region will be here, it will be another region, here it will be another plane sheet, then there will right hand side another region. So these two region will be the difference between them, and the other two region will be just like that. Okay, so for such cases you have to apply the Gauss theorem, or you have already know for a single sheet, so no need to apply the Gauss theorem, just directly put this electric field equation, find out electric field. Okay, next we will move to, okay, it is electric field due to plane sheet. And what is the condition? The condition is which is infinitely thin. Okay, and now we will move to another standard shape, which is sphere. We will find out the electric field due to sphere. Okay, where for the spherical region we will consider the charge is uniformly distributed over the spherical region. Why? Because for non-uniform cases there will be some problem. Okay, we will come to later on later videos. Okay, here we limited our study or learnings to the uniform distribution of charge. Okay, first take a shell. Suppose it is a spherical shell of radius r. Suppose say radius r. So this shell contain a charge of q, suppose plus q, which is uniformly distributed over this shell. Now you have to find out electric field at any point. Any point means the point could be lie here, or the point could be lie inside the sphere as well. Okay, so to find out, we will again apply Gauss theorem. How? For let's say this point is r distance away, this from center, this point is r distance away from the center. So we can take it P, point P, okay, or point S, not take it P, point S. Okay, so what to do? As we have already in previous video when we are proving Gauss law, we are just proving Coulomb's law. For a spherical charge, we are just assuming a Gaussian surface, just symmetrical or radially symmetric Gaussian surface, which is also a sphere. So the electric field from, suppose, okay, first suppose there is a point charge. So what will be the electric field distribution for this point charge Q? This is the electric field in all direction, right? Now if you just make the charge bigger, small, by a small amount, then again look, the electric field also in the all direction. So if this bigger charge turn into that charge, then again the electric field will be also like this. It will be spread uniformly all over the region around it. So it will make a sphere as well. So you can say, to enclose this Q charge, charge of sphere or spherical shell, we can enclose by a Gaussian surface of bigger radius, of radius r. Okay, so you can enclose by this sphere. Okay, my drawing is not up to the mark. So just take it as sphere. I know it is quite hard to assume that it is a sphere, but still. So what will we do? We just take elementary portion, ds portion, area ds. Okay, the electric field for this cell, the electric field direction is along this direction, the ds direction is also along this direction, right? So what is the angle between ds and electric field? The theta. The angle is 0 here because they are along same straight line. Okay, now we'll just put the Gauss law here. First we have to find out the flux for this small fundamental or elementary portion. The d phi will be E dot ds, and we know E dot ds means E ds magnitude of E, magnitude of ds, and cos theta, which is cos 0 degree. Here theta equal to 0 because ds, the angle between E and ds is 0, so cos 0 is 1, so E ds. That part I have skipped in my previous videos. Okay, I just directly write d phi equal to E dot ds because on almost every cases the cos 0 degree is 1. That's why I just skipped. Okay, follow it carefully. So now we have to find out, as this area is enclosed by this whole Gaussian surface, so what will be the whole flux due to this point charge through this Gaussian surface? It is easy. Phi equal to closed surface integral of E ds. Okay, E dot ds, or it's simply ds, right? So the E is constant because it is uniform. Look, the electric field, here the electric field is equal to the here electric field. The direction is different, but as we already seen that this charge are radially symmetric, so from this shell the distance between this and from this side the distance between this is same. So if we consider an electric field here, the magnitude of electric field will be all same over this surface, only the direction will be different. So we can say it will be E will be constant magnitude of E, and the integration will be only over this small region ds, which will lead to whole sphere. Okay, so E into 4 pi r square. The surface area of whole sphere is 4 pi r square, as this radius is r. So now from Gauss law we know phi equal to the charge enclosed 1 by epsilon times charge enclosed, right? The flux is the 1 by epsilon times the charge enclosed, and we have already find out the flux. So just equal, make this equation as like this, just put at that. So find out E. E will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. It is quite known to you. Okay, so from Coulomb's law we have already seen, if this shell considered as point charge and this is also a point charge, or if this point, then due to that point charge this electric field is same as this, right? So we can say for a point outside this cell anywhere, we can treat this cell as a point charge, or we can say this cell act as a concentrated point charge here. So we can just substitute the shell by a point charge plus q. Okay, and the distance r. Okay, from r distance we can find out the electric field at S point easily from r point to S point. Already I have found it, and the direction, if you named it, okay, it will be along S to R direction, sorry, R to S direction. Or you can provide r cap here. I have already shown you how to make a scalar quantity to vector, sorry, magnitude of vector to a vector quantity, just putting a unit vector, okay, with that. Now what if this point S just lying on the surface? Then again same concept. What same concept? Then this sphere will coincide this with this sphere, so we can say this q charge will be enclosed by the radius of same r and r, it will be same. So instead of r, okay, so this is outside the point, electric field at outside. Now on the spherical shell, the electric field will be just same. The r, this r will be substituted by r, simple. So it will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. Okay, and again you can say, we can write a r cup here to make it a vector quantity. It's easy. You can write in that way a vector quantity or in that way. Okay, anyone is correct. Okay, you have to just, if you are just mentioning like that, then you have to name it r and s. Okay, okay, on the spherical cell. Now what if this point S lie in between this spherical cell? Then there will be a problem. What will be that problem? We already see in the spherical cell, the charge is already on the outside or on the surface area of this sphere. So there is no charge inside this sphere, right? There is no charge here, no q. So if we apply Gauss law, suppose say phi equal to q by epsilon naught. So as no charge is enclosed, so we can say the q is just 0. There is no charge, 0 charge is enclosed, so phi will be 0. As phi will be 0, the electric field will also be 0. So inside a spherical cell, the electric field is 0 inside a cell. Okay, when you write like that, in left hand side you write a vector quantity, then in right hand side you have to also mention it as a vector quantity, so it will be a null vector. Okay, arrow over a 0 inside the shell. Now what will happen if this is a solid sphere? Okay, this is a cell. Now take it as solid sphere. So for solid sphere, it is nothing different. It is almost same to this shell when the point is lying outside or on that region. That's mean if you say a charge or sphere of charge plus q all over the region, so plus q all over the shell, right? So which having radius r, and we have to find out s distance away, sorry, r distance away at S point, the electric field. So at this point S, we have to find out the electric field which is r distance away from the sphere, which contains q charge. So if we, for this sphere or this conducting sphere charge, okay, we are just taking conducting sphere. Why non-conducting? I will okay, we can take it as non-conducting also. Okay, just a minute difference there, but still it's okay. Okay, the approach is same. So as this to find out electric field here, we have to apply Gauss law. To apply Gauss law, we have to apply a Gaussian surface. So Gaussian surface will be quite similar to this, right? The electric field will be all over the space. It will be spherically symmetric or radially symmetric. It will make a spherical Gauss surface of radius r, right, like that. And if we will apply Gauss law, this is same, okay. Just here the charge is, the enclosed charge is over the spherical shell, and the charge, enclosed charge will be over this sphere, all over this sphere, okay. But it will enclosed by this bigger sphere, so there is no problem. So electric field will be same as the above when it is outside, or it is on the circle. So we can say this is valid only for r greater than or equal to r, okay. You can write in that way: outside of the spherical shell, outside of the sphere, on the spherical shell, on the sphere, or you can write in that way. This is technical approach, and this is okay, you are just mentioning it in your language, okay. That will reduce your effort, okay. That's why I just showing both of them. Now what if the point is lying inside the sphere? Here, if the point is lying inside the spherical shell, there is no charge. But in case of conducting sphere, as the charge is uniformly distributed, okay, as the charge is uniformly distributed, let's say the sphere is like that, conducting sphere. As the charge is uniformly distributed all over the region, so what will we do to find out the electric field? Suppose we have to find out the electric field at this point, which is r distance away, okay. The radius of this sphere is r, okay, and it is s distance away, okay. Let's say it's r. So to find out electric field, we will apply a Gaussian surface. Now this Gaussian surface cannot enclose the charge which is outside this point is. So we have to enclose those amount of charge which is only contain the RS radius, RS sphere. That means this. So this will be the effective Gaussian surface for finding out the electric field at the point is. So if you have to find out the electric field, we will have to just consider the charge of this sphere only, okay. We cannot consider the whole charge q. If the q is given for whole sphere, the bigger radius sphere, for radius or the bigger sphere, or you can say radius r. So to find out the point S which is inside this sphere, we will not apply Gauss law q by epsilon naught. Instead of q, we have to find out the effective charge for this Gauss law. So what will be the effective charge? Okay, if you are familiar with to the 11th Newton's gravitation law, and there you have to find out the gravitational acceleration on the above the surface of the earth and on a deep to the earth, okay, inside the earth. So when we are considering the gravitational acceleration, when we are finding out that gravitational acceleration inside the earth, we are just considering the mass of the effective mass of the radius in which, suppose, okay, just assume if this is our earth, okay. So when we are just finding out gravitational acceleration g or g dash here, okay, in respect of g something is there. So we are just considering whole mass of the earth. But when this point lies here inside the earth, then we are just taking the effective mass. That means the mass of the sphere. How? We are just converting the mass into density form. Here also same. So if the charge density is sigma here, okay, okay, not sigma, let's say the charge density. Okay, so volume of the whole full all volume of the bigger sphere is 4 by 3 pi r cube, we know, right? And this volume contains q charge, right? So what will happen to that volume or to that surface charge? Okay, then we have to find out for that. Okay, we have to find out the charge for that effective part. Okay, how do we find out? It is easy. Okay, so what will we do? So volume of the smaller sphere will be v dash will be 4 by 3 pi r cube, right? Now take sigma as the charge density. As it is uniformly distributed, if we just contract this sphere, the q will proportionately lower. So if we take the sigma equal to q by volume, sorry, q by surface area. Okay, not sigma here because it is a sphere, so it is not a surface, so it will be volume charge density. Sorry, my mistakes, I have just forget it. So q by 4 by 3 pi r cube, right? So it is sigma, and volume for, again we know sigma is, so for v dash we can say if v dash contain q dash charge, right, then also sigma will be q dash by v dash. Here it is q by v for the whole charge, and this will be same because it is constant, does not matter either this sphere is large or small. Okay, as it is ratio. Okay, so it will be q dash, say this portion only contain q dash charge, so q dash by v dash will be 4 by 3 pi r cube. So from that two equation find out q dash will be 4 by 3 pi r cube. So wait, it will be a small capital, so q into r cube by r cube, right? Q into r cube. So just put this q on the this this equation. Okay, or you can approach like that, phi equal to q by epsilon naught, where it will be phi equal to q dashed by epsilon naught, because this effective sphere equal to E into 4 pi r square, sorry 4 by, yes, area 4 pi r square. So as we already know q dashed, now find out t, and E will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, and q dashed is r cube by r cube, so r cube, that's mean r by r cube, so it will be q into r cube by r cube, so r by r cube, so q r by. I know it's quite complicated, actually I have just made it complicated for you, but to explain you, okay, I have just mentioned all the things. Okay, don't mess up. Okay, I have just messed up here, just try to understand the concept. Okay, this video is irrelevant to you. Okay, just understand the concept and try to find out the electric fields own self, yourself. Okay, that will help you. Okay, I know the approach. Okay, I need not to memorize this, I need not to convince to you. Okay, it's your choice whether you will just memorize it or you try to understand it and just approach or just apply it yourself. Okay, it will be best to write down or just derive yourself. Okay, that will boost up your concept as well as your confidence. Okay, so here I will just ending my I just okay, okay, one more thing. So suppose one more question you can easily ask, why all the times we are taking epsilon naught? Epsilon naught means, I have already said epsilon naught means it is the permittivity of vacuum. That means whether we are performing all the experiment or all the shapes are already already in the vacuum. No. Okay. Epsilon naught is taken for the ideal purpose. Okay, you just say if the medium, you can say the medium is of epsilon, permittivity epsilon. You can just substitute this epsilon by epsilon. So we can say instead of 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, or instead of epsilon naught, you can write down 1 by 4 pi epsilon, where this is the permittivity of the specific medium, where you are performing this experiment, you can say, to find out the electric field. Okay, where epsilon naught can also be written as epsilon r into epsilon naught, epsilon r times epsilon naught, or k into epsilon naught. So what is k or epsilon r? They are just same, but the name of them are different. Okay, numerically or technically they are same. Epsilon naught r epsilon r is referred to relative permittivity of the vacuum, and k is referred to as the dielectric constant of the vacuum. Okay, so just for any specific medium the k varies or epsilon naught r varies, but epsilon naught are constant. So you can put them and you can find out the suitable answer or suitable result. Okay, just put epsilon instead of epsilon naught, just put epsilon, or epsilon naught or k epsilon. Okay, so this is our okay, here I end this topic. So goodbye for now, see you on the next video.